Every time fear whispers you can't, a part of your dream dies quietly. Today, we'll learn to give that dream a voice. Let me start with a truth that most people never hear and even fewer accept. You are already selling yourself every single day. When you walk into a room, when you speak, when you stay silent, when you hesitate, when you take action, you are selling an idea of who you are. The only question is whether you are selling fear or belief. And here's the irony. Most people who fear rejection are some of the most capable, thoughtful, and talented individuals on the planet. They don't lack ability, they lack permission. Permission they are waiting for from the world, when in reality it must come from within. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." And selling yourself begins the moment you decide to get better at being seen. Fear of rejection doesn't disappear when you become confident. Confidence is built because you face rejection and survive it. You don't conquer fear by avoiding it. You conquer fear by walking straight through it with your values intact. The first proven way to sell yourself, even when fear is loud, is to master clarity over confidence. Confidence is emotional. Clarity is logical. When you are clear about who you are, what you stand for, and what value you bring, confidence eventually follows. Most people wait to feel confident before they speak. Winners speak because they are clear. They know what problem they solve. They know why they matter. They know the direction they are heading. And clarity has a strange power. It quiets fear. When you know your message, your fear doesn't get to vote. The second way is to stop personalizing rejection. Rejection is not a verdict on your worth. It is feedback on timing, alignment, or readiness. Jim Rohn reminded us that success is a numbers game. If 10 people say no, it doesn't mean you are wrong. It means you are working. Fear grows when rejection feels final. Courage grows when rejection feels normal. The moment you understand that rejection is simply part of the process, not the end of the process, you stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop editing yourself to be acceptable. Here's something most people never realize. The marketplace does not reward potential. It rewards presentation. And presentation does not mean pretending to be someone else. It means learning how to communicate your value without self-sabotage. The third way to sell yourself is to practice intentional self-expression. How you speak, how you listen, how you tell your story. These are skills. Skills can be trained. Fear tells you, "This is who I am." Discipline says, "This is who I'm becoming." Every time you explain your idea clearly, every time you share your story honestly, you strengthen your ability to sell yourself without feeling fake. The fourth way is to build evidence through small wins. Confidence is not built by thinking, it is built by doing. Jim Rohn believed in the power of daily disciplines. You don't wake up fearless. You earn fearlessness one action at a time. Speak up once. Share your idea once, ask once, offer once. Each small act becomes proof that you can survive discomfort. Fear loses its grip when evidence shows up, and evidence only shows up when you act. Finally, the fifth way is to anchor your identity to growth, not approval. If your self-worth depends on applause, rejection will destroy you. But if your identity is rooted in progress, rejection becomes fuel. Jim Rohn taught that success is something you attract by the person you become. When you sell yourself from a place of growth, honesty, and contribution, rejection may slow you, but it will never stop you. Let me say this clearly, the world does not need a quieter version of you, it needs a braver one. Someone who understands that fear is not a stop sign, it is a signal that you are expanding. Selling yourself is not about convincing others you are enough. It is about reminding yourself that you are willing to grow, willing to learn, and willing to stand in your truth even when your voice shakes. So the next time fear whispers, "What if they reject you?" answer back with this, "What if I grow?" Because when you choose growth over comfort, courage over silence, and clarity over fear, you don't just sell yourself. You build a life that speaks for you. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are being evaluated. From the moment you wake up, from the moment you step out of your house, you are leaving an impression on the world. People notice more than you think. They notice the way you walk into a room, the energy you bring with you, the tone of your voice, the confidence in your words, even the silence between sentences. Your resume, your qualifications, your degrees, they matter, but they are not what people feel when they meet you. They are not what draws attention, builds trust, or creates influence. What matters is your presence, your energy, your ability to communicate belief in yourself, even when doubt and fear are screaming inside. This is the first secret of selling yourself effectively. Too many people hide behind credentials or experience, hoping that the facts alone will speak for them, but the world doesn't respond to facts. The world responds to emotion, to energy, to authenticity. It responds to the courage to stand tall, to look someone in the eye, to speak your truth even when you feel vulnerable. Imagine walking into a room for an important meeting, a job interview, or a presentation. You might feel nervous, your hands may sweat, your heart may race. That is natural. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the signal that you are about to grow, that you are stepping into the arena, that you are moving towards something that matters. And the way you handle that fear is what sells you. When you acknowledge it, breathe through it, and continue with clarity and conviction, you are demonstrating a value that cannot be listed on a resume. Presence is more than just being physically there. Presence is about commanding attention without demanding it. It is about creating a sense of trust and confidence in others through the subtle ways you carry yourself. Your posture, the steadiness of your voice, your eye contact, and the authenticity of your expressions all combine to create a package of who you are. Energy is contagious. People may not remember every word you say, but they will remember how they felt in your presence. If you bring positivity, focus, and self-belief, others are drawn to you. If you shrink, doubt yourself, or apologize unnecessarily, others sense it, and it diminishes your influence. Selling yourself begins with understanding that your internal state communicates more loudly than any words you utter. Belief in yourself is a muscle, and like any muscle, it must be exercised. You don't start off strong. You build strength by practicing courage in small, repeated acts. When you walk into a room and introduce yourself with confidence, when you raise your hand in a meeting, when you voice your ideas despite fear, you are strengthening that muscle. Every small act of belief compounds over time. It sends a message not only to others but to yourself that you are capable, worthy, and deserving of the opportunities in front of you. Jim Rohn often reminded us that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Selling yourself is one of those disciplines. Showing up even when scared consistently, deliberately, and with clarity is what separates those who wait for opportunities from those who create them. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that if they feel fear, they are not ready. They wait for the moment when they feel completely prepared, when their confidence is at its peak, and then they act. But the truth is, confidence is built in the act of doing, not before it. Fear is an invitation, a signal that you are about to stretch beyond your comfort zone. The stronger the fear, the greater the opportunity to prove to yourself what you are capable of. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to act in spite of it. When you do, your presence speaks volumes. People notice courage. People respect resilience. People are drawn to individuals who face their own fear and keep moving forward. That is what selling yourself truly means. It is the daily practice of showing up, believing in your value, and communicating it clearly, even when your heart wants to retreat. Your energy also plays a crucial role. Energy is more than enthusiasm. It is the alignment of your words, actions, and intentions. It is authenticity in motion. When your energy is positive, focused, and consistent, it creates trust and influence. People can sense when someone is genuine versus when someone is trying too hard or pretending. Selling yourself is not about exaggerating your abilities or putting on a mask. It is about learning to express your true value in a way that others can see, feel, and understand. Your energy becomes a signal of competence and capability even before you have spoken a single word about your skills. Every interaction is an opportunity to sell yourself, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that communicates your value naturally. It starts with awareness, noticing how you carry yourself, how you respond to fear, how you express your ideas. It continues with deliberate action, practicing self-belief, honing your communication, and consistently showing up, even when it is uncomfortable. Over time, this awareness and action create a magnetic presence. People begin to associate your name with confidence, capability, and reliability. Opportunities come not because you chase them desperately, but because your presence communicated that you belong. Remember, the world may not always validate your efforts immediately. There will be times when rejection occurs, when people do not see your value, or when your contributions are overlooked. That is part of the process. What matters is that you maintain your presence and energy. Selling yourself is not about winning everyone over. It is about consistently showing the best version of yourself and trusting that the right people at the right time will recognize it. When you focus on cultivating presence, projecting energy, and communicating belief, you set yourself apart from the crowd, and rejection no longer feels like a threat. It becomes a stepping stone toward growth and success. Rejection is one of the greatest teachers that life can offer, yet it is also one of the most misunderstood. From a young age, we are taught to avoid it, to fear it, to shrink when it appears. We are conditioned to think that a no is a reflection of our worth, a verdict that we are somehow not enough. But if you look at life through the lens of those who have truly succeeded, rejection is never a sign to stop. It is proof that you are stepping into the arena. It is evidence that you are trying, that you are putting yourself forward, that you are willing to risk discomfort in pursuit of growth. The very act of being rejected means you are in motion, and motion is progress. Most people react to rejection with avoidance, defensiveness, or self-criticism. They let a single no overshadow their potential, and they forget all the times they succeeded, all the times they were prepared, all the times they took a chance and won. Jim Rohn said that failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day. In reality, rejection is just feedback, a natural, inevitable part of the process that separates those who reach their goals from those who never try. Every time you face rejection and stay in the game, your value increases. Your experience grows richer. You learn the subtleties of timing, communication, and understanding human behavior. Each rejection becomes a lesson, a step forward disguised as a moment of discomfort. The key is perspective. How you perceive rejection determines its effect on your life. If you see it as an end, fear and doubt will paralyze you. If you see it as information, an opportunity to learn, and a sign that you are taking action, then rejection becomes one of your most powerful allies. Think about it. Every successful entrepreneur, every great leader, every accomplished artist has faced rejection. It is unavoidable. It is part of the arena. What differentiates them is not that they avoided failure, but that they persisted despite it. They understood that each rejection carried a hidden gift, a chance to refine their approach, strengthen their resolve, and clarify their purpose. Clarity grows through persistence. Every time you experience a setback, a no, or a closed door, you are forced to examine your approach, your methods, and your message. You begin to understand where your strengths truly lie and where you need to improve. Jim Rohn taught that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And the discipline to keep moving in the face of rejection builds clarity like nothing else. With every attempt, you discover more about your audience, your industry, and, most importantly, yourself. Rejection stops being a judgment on your character and starts becoming a roadmap, guiding you to the path where your efforts will align with opportunity. Confidence is another byproduct of embracing rejection. Confidence does not mean that fear disappears. It means that fear loses its control over your actions. Each time you step forward, even when uncertain, and even when met with a negative response, you are reinforcing the truth that you can endure, adapt, and grow. People confuse confidence with perfection, but real confidence is cultivated in the crucible of challenge. Rejection is that crucible. It teaches patience, resilience, and the courage to trust in your capabilities. The more often you engage with rejection without fleeing, the stronger your inner sense of security becomes. You no longer rely solely on external validation. You develop an internal foundation that cannot be shaken by a single outcome. Persistence also creates momentum. The human brain naturally notices patterns, and repetition builds familiarity, both with your craft and with how you present yourself to the world. The more times you put yourself in the arena, the more fluid your interactions become, the more natural your presence feels, and the sharper your instincts grow. A no in your early attempts may feel like failure, but after repeated exposure, you realize that each rejection is actually building a cumulative force that will eventually manifest as multiple opportunities. Rejection is not a wall, it is a stepping stone. It is the process of chiseling your potential into reality. Another vital aspect of rejection is its ability to refine focus. When you face repeated no's, you are forced to assess whether you are pursuing the right people, the right audience, or the right approach. Sometimes rejection is a mirror reflecting misalignment rather than incompetence. Recognizing this allows you to adjust your strategy to become more targeted, more effective, and more intentional. The clarity that emerges from rejection is invaluable. You begin to understand which opportunities are worth pursuing, which efforts yield the greatest impact, and which areas of growth are most critical. Without rejection, you may continue on a path of wasted effort, never learning how to sharpen your strategy or enhance your approach. Perhaps the most important lesson is that rejection builds humility and empathy. When you are met with no, you experience what millions of others feel daily. This awareness makes you more compassionate, more understanding, and ultimately more persuasive when you communicate with others. Selling yourself is not only about confidence and skill, it is about connection. And connection is deepened when you have faced and accepted the reality of rejection, understanding both sides of the human experience. You become relatable, trustworthy, and resilient in the eyes of others because you have lived through adversity, learned from it, and emerged stronger each time. In truth, rejection is an unavoidable, indispensable companion on the journey toward success. The fear of it may initially seem paralyzing, but once you recognize that it is a signal of progress, a teacher, and a tool for growth, it transforms into a source of power. Every time you stay in the game despite rejection, your value, confidence, and clarity increase. You start to see yourself not as someone at the mercy of circumstances, but as someone actively shaping their destiny. You stop measuring yourself by external approvals and begin measuring yourself by the courage, effort, and persistence you demonstrate consistently. Many people misunderstand what it means to sell yourself. They think it is about exaggerating your abilities, presenting a false image, or pressuring others into believing in your value. That is not selling yourself. Selling yourself is far more profound, far more disciplined, and far more authentic than any form of manipulation. It is the consistent practice of showing up prepared and aligned every single day. It is about courage, the courage to reveal who you are, to demonstrate your skills, to speak your ideas, and to take ownership of your journey, even when others may doubt or dismiss you. True selling begins with the internal commitment to your own growth, to your own preparation, and to the integrity of your actions. Preparation is the foundation. You cannot sell yourself convincingly if you are unprepared. Knowledge, skill, and clarity are non-negotiable. Every successful person Jim Rohn ever spoke about built themselves from the inside out. They read, they studied, they practiced relentlessly, and they honed their craft until they could present it with confidence. Preparation gives you authority. It allows you to answer questions, solve problems, and address objections not from a place of uncertainty, but from a place of competence. When you are prepared, fear has less influence. You do not stumble, hesitate, or shrink because you know your value and can communicate it effectively. Preparation is what separates those who hope for opportunity from those who create it. Consistency is equally crucial. Showing up once or twice is not enough. Selling yourself requires the daily discipline of being visible, of engaging, of contributing, and of demonstrating your commitment. People notice patterns. They notice reliability, dedication, and follow through. One courageous act might make an impression, but repeated acts build trust, reputation, and momentum. Consistency is not glamorous. It is often quiet and unseen, yet it compounds over time. The person who shows up every day with focus and effort builds credibility that no single grand gesture can match. Selling yourself consistently sends the message that you are serious, dependable, and someone who can be counted on. Courage is the third pillar. It is easy to avoid risk, to hide from scrutiny, and to remain invisible when fear is present. But selling yourself effectively demands the willingness to step into discomfort, to speak when your voice shakes, to present your ideas when you are unsure of the reception. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act in spite of fear. Every time you push past hesitation and engage, you are demonstrating not only your skills but your character. People are drawn to courage. They respect it, they trust it. Selling yourself without courage is impossible because it requires vulnerability, the willingness to let the world see you as you are while striving to become better. Another aspect of selling yourself is understanding that your journey is as important as your destination. You are not selling a final product. You are selling a process, a trajectory, a story of growth. People are inspired by the evolution of someone who is committed to becoming their best version. This is why preparation, consistency, and courage must be visible. Every interaction is an opportunity to demonstrate that you are serious about growth, that you are learning, that you are taking action, and that you are committed to improving both yourself and the outcomes you influence. Selling yourself is not about claiming perfection. It is about communicating progress, potential, and purpose. Self-awareness is another indispensable tool in this process. You cannot sell yourself if you do not understand who you are, what you bring to the table, and what differentiates you from others. Jim Rohn emphasized that success is attracted to the person you become, not the person you pretend to be. Selling yourself authentically requires reflection, honesty, and clarity about your strengths, weaknesses, and values. When you understand your own story, you can convey it compellingly, aligning your narrative with the needs, interests, and emotions of the people you wish to influence. This authenticity is magnetic because it resonates with the truth that everyone, deep down, seeks clarity and sincerity in others. Practice is essential. Just as an athlete trains before the game, or a musician rehearses before a performance, selling yourself is a skill that must be exercised. This practice involves refining your communication, listening actively, presenting ideas effectively, and responding with poise under pressure. Each interaction, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to strengthen your ability to project your value. Over time, these repeated actions build confidence, presence, and influence. What once felt intimidating becomes familiar and manageable, and fear no longer dictates your participation. You learn to engage with the world proactively, not reactively, which is the essence of selling yourself consistently. Patience is another component often overlooked. The process of showing up, being consistent, and acting courageously does not yield instant results. Selling yourself is a marathon, not a sprint. Opportunities are attracted over time through patterns of action, reliability, and demonstrated capability. People begin to notice, not because you shouted the loudest, but because your presence, energy, and commitment became undeniable. Every small act compounds, and every consistent effort strengthens your reputation and your influence. This patience is intertwined with faith in the process, the confidence that your consistent preparation and courageous engagement will eventually align with opportunity. Finally, selling yourself is fundamentally about contribution. When you focus on how you can serve, create value, and solve problems for others, selling yourself becomes effortless. People naturally gravitate toward those who make a difference in their lives. When your preparation, consistency, and courage are aligned with genuine contribution, Your actions communicate worth without needing to demand recognition. Selling yourself transforms from a transaction into an invitation, demonstration of who you are becoming, and an example of what others can achieve by trusting, collaborating, or learning from you. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever held back because you were afraid of what people might say? How many of you have let fear dictate your actions, paused when opportunity knocked, or doubted your own worth because someone once said no? I want you to hear this loud and clear. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal. It is the universe telling you that you are about to grow, that you are stepping into a space that will stretch you, challenge you, and transform you. Every single one of you has something valuable to offer, something unique that the world cannot afford to miss. But you must be willing to stand up, step forward, and show it, even when your hands are shaking, even when your heart is pounding, and even when the voice inside whispers, "What if they reject you?" Imagine this. You are standing in front of the most important opportunity of your life. Maybe it is a presentation, a job interview, a new client, or simply a conversation that could change your trajectory. Fear grips you. Rejection seems possible. But then you remember something. Every great achiever, every person who has reached heights you admire, has faced exactly what you are facing. Jim Rohn said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." And better is built through action. Better is built through showing up. Better is built through courage. So you take a deep breath, you straighten your posture, and you step into the arena. That is the moment that changes everything. That is the moment you start selling yourself not through words alone, but through presence, energy, and belief. Now, let me share something else with you. Rejection is not your enemy. No one has ever succeeded without it. In fact, rejection is proof that you are trying, proof that you are in motion, proof that you are daring to create. Every time someone says no, it is not a verdict on your worth, it is feedback, it is a lesson. It is an opportunity to sharpen your approach, refine your skills, and clarify your vision. Imagine a boxer training for the championship. Every punch he absorbs, every fall he takes, is not a signal to quit. It is training, it is preparation, and each time you face rejection and keep moving forward, your confidence grows, your clarity sharpens, and your value increases. Fear loses its grip when you understand this. Let's talk about courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite fear. Jim Rohn reminded us that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Showing up, speaking up, contributing, engaging, these are daily disciplines. Courage is cultivated in small, repeated acts. It is found in every conversation where you risk being misunderstood, every opportunity where you might fail, every challenge where you feel unprepared. Courage becomes a habit, and habits shape destiny. When you practice courage consistently, fear no longer rules your decisions. You start making choices that align with your potential, not your hesitation. And what about authenticity? Selling yourself is not about pretending, exaggerating, or applying pressure. It is about showing up as the best version of you, consistently and intentionally. It is about preparation so that when opportunity comes, you are ready. It is about consistency so that others know they can rely on you. It is about contribution so that your value is recognized not because you demand it, but because it is evident in your actions. Every time you step forward prepared, every time you act with clarity and courage, Every time you contribute without hesitation, you are selling yourself in a way that cannot be ignored. Let me give you a story. Imagine a young professional who dreams of leading a project but fears rejection. Every day he rehearses, he prepares, he learns. He shows up, asks questions, contributes ideas, and sometimes hears no. He could stop, retreat, and hide in comfort, but he doesn't. He continues day after day, and then one day someone notices. His consistent presence, his courage, and his authenticity shine. Opportunity opens, doors that were closed begin to swing wide, and what once felt impossible becomes reality. That could be you. That will be you if you embrace the principles we have discussed today. Now I want you to speak these words aloud with me, because action begins with belief. Say it: I am capable, I am prepared, I am growing, I am courageous, I am ready to be seen, I am ready to sell myself because I know my value. I refuse to let fear dictate my life. I embrace rejection as a teacher. I show up every day as the best version of myself. The world will see me, and the world will respond. Say it again with conviction, and let it echo in your heart. Remember, the arena is not waiting for perfection. It is waiting for action. It is waiting for courage. It is waiting for the people who are willing to show up and demonstrate their value consistently. The world responds to clarity, energy, and authenticity. Your resume, your degrees, your past accomplishments. They matter, but they are secondary to your presence, your preparation, and your commitment to growth. Fear will always whisper, "Stay hidden." But you must whisper back, "I am becoming, I am ready, I am enough, and I will act." The choice is yours. You can retreat, you can wait, you can let fear hold you hostage. Or you can step forward, embrace every challenge, and sell yourself with courage, clarity, and integrity. Opportunities will come to those who act. Doors will open for those who persist. Influence will follow those who contribute. And most importantly, the life you desire, the success, the recognition, the fulfillment, will belong to those who refuse to let fear and rejection define them. So today, commit. Commit to showing up, to being prepared, to acting with courage, to embracing rejection as fuel, and to consistently presenting your best self to the world. The arena is waiting. The world is waiting. Your future is waiting. Step forward, sell yourself, and let your presence, your energy, and your belief create the life you were meant to live.